Hello and welcome back to the channel for HCW. My name is Dan, DP, D to the Queen Z, and I'm here once again by myself with another UK indie show review spotlight. Indie show review, let's go with that. This video I am covering Big Wavy Roy Johnson's Everything Patterned. This is the fourth installment of Everything Patterned. This was a show put on as part of Wrestival, which is a wrestling festival that spans over the course of 3 days. This was on the second day, the Friday, the 14th, so 2 days ago when I'm recording this. And without any further ado, let's get into the review. So we get things off with introducing who the host is, who the MC is of tonight's affair. It is stand-up comedian Sakisa. If you're not familiar, it's a London-based comedian who's doing a lot of tours recently as well, and it's just really funny. Also known as Twix. Sakisa did a fantastic job of hosting and emceeing for the entire show. It helps because she mentions that she's been a wrestling fan for 11 years. And it really helps to have a fan as well who's doing the hosting, emceeing, because they know what they're talking about, they know how to introduce, they know how to essentially announce. So we move on to the first match of the night, which was a big old fatal four-way to celebrate up-and-comers, debutees, or people who've not been on the mainstream for that long. This was Bruno Brown, Harrison Leon, Remy Adetunji, and KM Lane. Now, I've got to be completely honest here. Bruno Brown is someone I've heard about through passing. Harrison Leon is someone I knew very, very little about. After research, it seems like he's only recently debuted on the wrestling scene. I don't know how far before it was, but this seems to be one of his first matches. Remy Adetunji is the latest recruit to the 8-7, and I've seen him a lot at like Rev Pro, like in the Contenders stuff, or like he's like one of the ring crew or something like that. And KM Lane is actually the only one in this group that I've seen wrestle. I see him wrestle at Coliseum Pro both times, and very fast, very young, very what's the word? A high ceiling he does. But this match seemed like a whole thing. It seemed like a whole way to get together people who haven't had much exposure in the wrestling world. So yeah, this match was very fast paced. It was very comedic in places as well. It was a very community driven match. Very sort of like, let's get together and let's wrestle. It was very fun. Yeah. The notes I've got here, there's very few because over the course of the night I didn't write much notes. Um, my first note is Harrison is a big man. He's like 6'5" or something. He like compared to the others, he's quite tall. But no, Bruno and KM are the speedsters of the match. Remy is a powerhouse, but she's like a shorter powerhouse. Uh, Meanwhile, Harrison is also strong, but he's also very tall. He's also a bit slower than everyone else. I would assume that's because of his only recent debuting on the scene. Again, I could be completely wrong with that. Harrison, if you're watching, please don't take anything to heart. I am not too familiar. I'm happy to learn more at some point. But yeah, sorry. So we get a lot of back and forth. Everyone's in control of the match at some point. And then eventually the win comes from Harrison, who wins with a landslide over Bruno. I rated the match 3-star. It was very fun. A good way to start things off with four young talents who are all up and coming in the scene, and it was a way to get things started and get some eyes as well, even if it's just limited eyes in the actual the main house of the Pleasance. That actually brings on to a side note I should have mentioned at the start. Actually, that the show was hosted in the Pleasance Theatre in Islington, London, the heart of London, because I don't know where the heart of London is, so I will just say everywhere is the heart of London. But no, in North London, Pleasance Theatre plays host to a lot of different events. Like we have the wrestling part of Wrestival. We have like cabaret performances, theatrical performances, like drama. There's comedy nights, poetry readings, all that sort of stuff. Uh, it's always a fun little night out if you want to head down there. And that's the only venue that I know of, actually, at least that hosts wrestling anyway, that you can order food and drink and it's brought to you rather than you've got to like get out from your place to go to the bar or go to the restaurant or whatever. Like it's the only place that I know of that actually does that service. So that's quite interesting. Um, but yeah, moving on to the next match. We go into some tag action as the 8-7, Alexander Roth and Roy Johnson take on the East City Sovereigns, RJ Singh and Jordan Saeed. I've got to apologise to RJ and Jordan. When I was putting the live tweets out, I accidentally called them the Easy City Sovereigns instead of East. I did put a correction in the comments of that tweet, but yeah, the damage was done. So no, apologies RJ and Jordan for that. But into the match itself, this is very much a. I'm not the first match that was everyone was like, "Oh, like let's come together. We're all faces. We're all gonna put on a good show for the crowd." This match was more the typical or classical heel and face divide, with Jordan and RJ being the cocky, uh, like we don't care what you think, we're gonna do whatever we can to win. Whereas A7 are more honourable and more respectable. They're gonna stay within the rules and they're gonna do what they can to get the win. But it will obviously within the rules. So I've got here in my notes. The A7 take the early advantage. The Sovereigns use heel tactics to get back into control with like using the ropes and stuff and like utilize the best 4 count and submit on like holds and stuff like that. We get a lot of back and forth control between the two of them, between the two teams that is, until Roy does a 3-point takedown on RJ. Um, Roy also hits a power driver as well on RJ, but the pin's broken up. Eventually, though, Roth and Roy hit their tag finish on RJ to get the win. This was a good match. This was a good little tag match. Both teams stood out in what they did, and they did what they could to put on a good show. And I don't know if the venue itself helped or hindered, but they seemed comfortable with what they were doing, and that's ultimately everyone. Yeah, ultimately that's all you can ask for. So we move on to the third match of the night. I think I said that was 2.5 star, that one. Third match of the night. We have Libby Grace taking on Ronnie Knox. So this was originally meant to be Libby Grace and Mercedes Blaze. For whatever reasons, Mercedes Blaze couldn't be there, whether it was injury or travel issues or whatever, I don't know the reason. But she couldn't be there, so in comes Ronnie Knox. For those who don't know, this is very much a battle of big and small. Livy is a very big person in regards to her stature, whereas Ronnie is the considerably smaller person. Uh, so it's very much a David and Goliath sort of situation here. Uh, so for the match itself, Livy has majority of control and hits Ronnie, and I made a little pun here in my notes, and hits Ronnie hard with some of her knocks. No? Okay, moving on. In between moves, Livy also mocks Ronnie, calling mocking her like her moniker being a wrestling engineer. Eventually though, Ronnie's fighting spirit gets her back into things as she hits combos and strikes and hits a lariat to take down Livy. But unfortunately for her, it's not enough as Livy's able to take control back with a lariat and then the 3 count for the victory. Again, 2.5 star. Very good. Singles match between the pair of them. It's interesting to see the clash of styles. And despite Ronnie being a replacement for this match, it didn't feel like it was something that hindered the match whatsoever. Always fun to see a match between Libby Grace and Ronnie Knox. I'm quite high on both of them. It's fun to see both of them in this setting and fun to see both of them have a chance to wrestle as well. Like I said, I'm just a fan of both of them. Uh, and we move on now to the main event of the night, which was uh, Levi Muir and the Nigerian kaiju part of the 8-7, Warren Banks. Warren Banks is doing the rounds, it seems. He's doing a lot of things now since coming back from an injury. He's competing in Progress. He's done a few things here and there. He's got a few things coming up as well. Obviously, he competed here. He competed in the head drop show as well. He also going to compete at Purpose as well. So he's doing a lot right now. He's also going to wrestle Tate Mayfair's in Manchester Progress, I believe. But anyway, we're not here for that. We're here to talk about Levi Muir and Warren Banks, which was the main event of this show. We get a lot of trash talk from Levi to begin things off. What was the crowd favourite between these two? We got a lot of back and forth in the ring, and then they go to the crowd. They fight the crowd a little bit, go back towards the ring. Again, it's a lot of just hard hitting and striking. There's nothing particular to really pick out other than both of them are just really going at it. And I've got here it's very fluid action between the pair of them. There's no beats missed. There's nothing missed in this match. Like both of them hit their spots and they get everything that they need to do, whether it's get the crowd to not like them or whether it's get the crowd to like them. And Levi does, and I mentioned every time that I review a Levi match. Levi does this beautiful, like he runs against the ropes, like springs back from the ropes that is, and then does this low crossbody, insane speed. He is ridiculously good at that, and it looks so smooth and it looks beautiful. In like, if you see it in person, you know what I mean. But it's an insane move. But no, Levi ultimately does some more offense and gets the win with his finisher for the free, which I was personally quite surprised by. I thought Warren was going to win this match, but he didn't. After the match, Levi talks trash a bit more, and he beats up Warren, and out comes the 8-7 and Harrison for some reason. And then they all beat up on Levi and then clear the ring. So now, post match, it is the four of them and Harrison. So it's as I said, Alexander Roth, Roy Johnson, Remy Alatunji, and Warren Banks, who's still reeling from the assault from Levi, and Harrison Leon, who's also here now. Roy gets the mic and he just says that it's time to celebrate in the way that we know how, and they tease a little bit of something, and then eventually they do offer Harrison Leon an 8-7 armband. Hamilton takes it, and then they do a dance to Candy by Cameo. I'll put a little video up here. There's no sound, but that's what happened. I can't put sound because of the copyright. But yeah, a little post-show dance down, sorry. And then after that, we had a heartfelt promo from Roy, who thanks everyone for being here, who thanks everyone in the ring, who thanks Wrestival for giving him a chance to have that exposure. And then RJ says as well, because at this point, everyone who's on the card comes into the ring, and RJ just says like he's grateful that everyone who's here is so good and so talented because he expects them to all be wrestling on the main level, the mainstream, when he's in a wheelchair because he's like the older person out of a lot of them. It was very heartfelt, very personal. A personal note that you probably wouldn't see uh, elsewhere. It's the sort of thing that you wouldn't see anywhere. So it was very nice, very different to see that as well, and it was a good touch as well. So fair play to Roy for having that on there. Fair play to RJ for saying those things, and fair play to Wrestival for hosting this. Effing Pattern has been around since 2019, I believe it was. This is my first time attending Effing Pattern. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was nothing particularly from my opinion, I will say I'm not saying this as like a fact or anything. From my opinion, there was nothing that was stand out, but that's fine. The matches weren't bad, so that's the key thing. There, they were all good, you know. But no, like I said, this is a really good show. At no point I wasn't like, oh, I want to do something else. I was thoroughly enjoying this match and this show, and yeah, I believe with that brings an end to the effing pattern review. Uh, I've been Dan DP Dequeezy. Uh, our socials are in the description. My Twitter is below there below. Um, but yeah, if you want to give us a follow, give us a follow. Be absolutely appreciated. We are on Twitch. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are also on Facebook now because we're going back in time apparently. Um, everything. I think that's everything. Yeah. And yeah, I will see you at the next one. Peace.